Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to try out the most quote-unquote useless toons in Dandy's world, and if they are actually useless. Well, without further ado, let us start the video. To start, let us briefly talk about the runner-ups, the toons that would have gotten into the video if they did not have a bit to them that did not make them so useless. Let's start with Flutter. There are many better toons that do what Flutter does, but actually good. Her stats and ability are more for saving someone in trouble if need be, than distracting or extracting, but that's it. If she could do more than what she currently does, then maybe, just maybe, she would not be outclassed. But while she is not the best, she is not completely useless. As I said, she can use her ability to quickly save someone if need be, or distract, but not recommended, that is it. Next is Finn, and if you saw my tier list video, you would know that I said Finn was basically useless, but to be fair, the Finn mains don't play him right. He is meant to use his big skill check to get completion and finish the machine, quick with magnifying glass and or participation award. His ability made him choose between speed and extracting, but what is the point of speed if he cannot distract? He is not useless, but he is close to being with how stretched he is. Next is Box10.y. Poppy exists, and if you're confused, consider checking out my video on how Poppy is the best character in Dandy's world. Box 10 sucks, worse Poppy, basically no ability, but with competent teammates, and a lot of them, he can get to work, I guess. Anyway, next is Louie. Bro is very gimmicky. Why would you use him if you have better toons? Well, he is pretty easy to purchase, which allows you to understand how distractors work with his 2-star stealth, and the fact he gets faster with each heart lost. I would say GOAT if the ability was permanent, even with healing, but in the end there are many different toons who do better, without the cost of health. Next is Roger, who is only, and I mean only, useful for dusting them off to get more research, that's IT. If you say you're a Roger main, you're lying and should rethink your life choices, like why are you playing Dandy's world? I joke, but still, you're not a Roger main, and you never will be. Last is Rudy, literally just a worse Flutter besides extraction, that's it? Okay, now that we have gotten through all the runner-ups, let's get to the actually useless toons that only people use for the funny, and if you say you main these, you're either pro or lying.